Live from WTOC, the Southeast news leader. The News Now starts on WTOC Plus.
Thanks for joining us here for the news on WTOC Plus. I'm digital anchor Jude Binkley. Savannah police have made an arrest in connection with an armed carjacking outside of a restaurant yesterday. Now, 41-year-old Donald Palmer Jr. was arrested after a woman says she was held at gunpoint and had her car stolen outside of Nancy's Seafood on West Bay Street. Officers arrived on scene around 4:40 yesterday. Here's a look at some of that scene. Police searched the area and found the stolen car driving on Bullock Street, and they followed that car until it hit a curb. After a foot chase, officers did ultimately arrest Palmer. He's been charged with hijacking a motor vehicle, aggravated assault, and interference with government property. And the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office is investigating after shots were fired on Ladies Island last night. It happened on Colony Gardens Road near the Harbor One apartments. When deputies arrived, they found that the apartment had been hit by bullets. There are no reported injuries at this time, but the case is under investigation, and anyone with information is asked to call the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office. Well, 2025 was a very busy year here in Savannah. Violent crime is just one topic that's been on everyone's mind, including Mayor Van Johnson's. There have been 27 reported homicides so far this year in Savannah. That is 2 more compared to this time last year. Looking back, WTOC has covered some major violent crimes, including the Oglethorpe Mall shooting in July, as well as the recent acid attack near Forsyth Park earlier this month. Now, our Cam McCann sat down with Mayor Johnson to review the year and what's to come in the future as we close out 2025.
One of the things that you've tried to hammer home, especially these last couple weeks and months, is the violent crime's down on the whole in Savannah. Can you kind of talk about why you think that is and what concrete steps you guys have taken to bring down violent crime in Savannah?
Well, I mean, not why I think, why our statistics say that they are. And again, I think it's a variety of a couple of things, the things that we can control. So what can we control? We can control our police presence and our police interactions. We can control our access and use of technology. We can control our beats and how we respond to areas of known crime in a very intelligent way. We can address those issues. We can prevent young people from being involved in crime and violent crime by giving them alternatives. I'm still out here buying guns from people because I'd rather the gun be in my hands than to be in the hands of somebody who can use them.
Turning now to state news, 3 violent criminals who escaped from the DeKalb County Jail are back in custody. The DeKalb County Sheriff's Office confirmed the recaptures just after 1:30 a.m. this morning. Officials just gave an update on capturing the inmates, saying all 3 were captured in Miami, Florida. They are currently being held in Florida while they wait to be transported back to Georgia. Officials also revealed more details about the inmates' escape plan. The Sheriff's Office says they discovered the inmates missing late Sunday night during a routine safety check. Authorities reviewed recorded phone calls by the inmates and found that one of them had contacted a man identified as Christopher Thompson to pick them up as they escaped. Thompson then drove the inmates to a girlfriend's house where they ordered a Lyft. Now, the U.S. Marshal's Office says the inmates allegedly kidnapped the Lyft driver and forced the driver to take them to Florida. As for how they escaped, the Sheriff's Office didn't go into detail, though they did mention the inmates were able to compromise the aging jail's infrastructure.
My primary focus is to make sure that you all know that the DeKalb County Jail is secure. We're not going to sit here and go back and forth and point blame. We're going to focus on what can we do to stop it from happening in the future. We're going to be asking for things to assist us with this aging facility that's deteriorating right before our eyes.
Authorities didn't say when the inmates will be brought back to DeKalb County. They do face multiple new charges, including kidnapping, and Thompson has also been arrested and charged for assisting the inmates. Well, today, right here on WTOC Plus, we heard from a teenage boy who was tased on a school bus at Langston Hughes High School in Fulton County. He and his attorneys spoke out, and reporter Mary Kate Hamilton was there, explaining their main message as they addressed what they say happened. Take a look.
Well, attorneys today really wanted to provide more context to that video that we've all seen. They say this was not an unruly teenager. This was simply a teenager who was on the correct bus and trying to get home. And they also say that the force used by the officer at the time was extremely excessive. Now, we're going to show you that video again. We showed you it last week when the incident happened, but attorneys say, again, this was excessive force. And today they ended up showing us scars on Lanier's throat and chest from being tased. They say the officer choked Lanier, slammed him into the seat, and slapped the teen after he was put into handcuffs. And they say this situation could have even turned deadly, and that it's unfortunate that families so often have to speak out against this kind of excessive force.
These type of situations turn deadly. And we are glad that we are here, not for a deadly encounter, because he's still here, but we are upset that we have to do this over and over and over and over again. So I want to be clear. This will not be tolerated in Fulton County, in the state of Georgia, in the United States. We've got to do better, and it starts right now.
Lanier's mother also spoke today and echoed the fact that she's just grateful her son is alive. Now, no legal action has officially been taken yet, but the attorneys say they will do that if they must. Reporting Fairburn, Mary Kate Hamilton, Atlanta News First.
Well, turning now to national news. Overnight, the Department of Justice released an additional 10,000 documents related to its investigation of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The latest batch of materials offers new details on the financier's associates, including President Donald Trump. Olivia Rinaldi reports from the White House.
Newly released documents include court records, emails, news clippings, photos, and hundreds of video files. One Justice Department email says then private citizen Donald Trump flew on Jeffrey Epstein's plane many more times than had previously been known. According to the email, Trump is listed as a passenger on at least 8 flights between 1993 and 1996, including at least 4 that co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell was on board. The email also notes Trump flew on 2 occasions with women described as potential witnesses in a potential Maxwell case. In a likely already public criminal complaint filed against Jeffrey Epstein's estate in 2020, a Jane Doe alleges that when she was 14 in the mid-90s, Epstein introduced her to Trump at Mar-a-Lago. It's important to note that President Trump has never been charged in connection with Epstein and has tried to distance himself from him. And there's no criminal wrongdoing alleged in these newly released files. The Justice Department released a statement saying some of the documents in Tuesday's release contain untrue and sensationalist claims made against President Trump that were submitted to the FBI right before the 2020 election.
I actually threw him out of Mar-a-Lago.
On Monday, President Trump once again accused Democrats of using the Epstein controversy as a distraction.
What this whole thing is with Epstein is a way of trying to deflect from the tremendous success that the Republican Party has.
By law, the DOJ had a Friday deadline to make public all of its Epstein files, but so far has done just a partial release, claiming it needs more time to protect sensitive victim information. Olivia Rinaldi, CBS News, the White House.
Well, we have some breaking news just into our newsroom. A woman who was injured during that deadly mass shooting on St. Helena Island back in October has filed a lawsuit against the restaurant, its owners, and its property owners, claiming they failed to provide adequate security despite knowing the venue had a history of violence. We just received the lawsuit here on WTOC. I'm going to look over some of the notes. The woman who filed the lawsuit is named Quinetta Clark. This lawsuit was filed yesterday in the Beaufort County Court of Common Pleas against Willie Turrell, who owns and operates Willie's Bar and Grill, as well as the property owners and the alleged shooter, Anthony Freeman. The lawsuit stems from that October 12th shooting at the restaurant where 4 people were killed and multiple others were injured when gunfire broke out outside of that venue. Clark was shot in the back during the incident and suffered injuries that continue to cause physical pain, mental anguish, and medical expenses. This is all according to the lawsuit that WTOC just received. It also alleges that the restaurant had a known history of violence and criminal activity and that law enforcement frequently responded to the premises. Clark's attorneys are arguing the defendants were on notice that the premises presented a heightened and foreseeable risk of violent criminal activity. Again, this is a lawsuit we just received into our newsroom. We will continue to follow and provide you updates as we learn more about this, as well as the lawsuit as it plays out potentially in the courts. All right, well, back to our stories here on WTOC Plus. The Savannah Ghost Pirates players, along with the rest of the ECHL, could be heading for a strike by the end of the week. That's according to the union that represents the players. The Professional Hockey Players Association announced yesterday that its ECHL membership served a strike notice that'll be effective this Saturday, December 26th. The union cited health and safety issues as well as pay in an open letter to fans. It said this in part, saying, "Many players have shared that they feel disrespected, undervalued, and taken for granted. As of today, after reviewing the league's most recent response, there has been no meaningful movement toward a fair resolution." Now, the league did respond, outlining their latest plan and offer to the players, saying, quote, "We believe the players would much prefer to continue playing and supporting the fans and communities we serve while we work through the negotiations. WTOC will continue to follow this story as Friday's deadline for that strike quickly approaches." Well, in health news, St. Joseph's Candler has enacted visitor restrictions due to the increasing number of flu cases in the region. Visitors must wear a mask if they have not been vaccinated for the flu or if they have symptoms of respiratory illness. Those under the age of 18 are now not allowed to visit patients unless they're a primary caregiver. And if you feel sick or have symptoms, you're also asked to not visit patients. The hospital system says that goal is to protect patients and staff as the state sees an increase in flu cases.
When we hit a baseline of 3.4% of visits that are influenza related for 2 weeks in a row, we implement visitor restrictions. The reason being there's a lot of influenza floating in the community, and we want to try to keep it out of the hospital for the protection of the patients and the staff that are here.
The hospital adds these types of flu restrictions are pretty common during this time of year, and the restrictions will lift once there's a drop in regional flu cases. That's usually around March or April. All right, well, this is pretty cool. What Christmas would be complete without a message from Santa Claus? Well, this is big news. Brian Unger thinks he might have found the real St. Nicholas right here in Georgia, and we all think he's pretty special. Take a look.
I have reindeer, and I have elves, and I have presents. Do you like presents?
If you doubt he exists or stopped believing altogether, there's a Santa in Atlanta who just might restore your faith in something bigger than a man in a red suit.
Look at that.
For 15 years, Santa Rick, last name Claus, naturally, has been, well, Santa Claus. Every button, belt, and boot, from the smallest detail to the most enduring mysteries, he is a masterclass in Santaology.
Santa has to have a house in every single city in the world so he can hide out and check the naughty and nice list. And here you see my office.
His office looks less like a workshop and more like a corporate outpost on the North Pole.
The reindeer team is gearing up for Santa's Christmas sleigh ride.
Presiding over a Santa syndicate, the National Santa Agency, the other NSA. And Santa Rick even has the explanation for one of Christmas's most enduring questions. How can there be more than one Santa in one place at one time? The answer?
These are true Claus family members.
Santas are all related.
Say presents.
While deliveries are coordinated at the North Pole, where elves still do most of the heavy lifting, this Atlanta Santa is preparing for the big day.
You have no idea how hard it is to be me.
So now we go back and I check in any space that I haven't done already. I go ahead and do that.
And sometimes Santa needs a little help from the 313 Salon. Marion Crowell and Tony Lacey are the salon's co-owners.
It's a difficult job, you know. You have to be sure to get everywhere, underneath, all of their hair. None of it can be, you know, looked over.
Even the eyebrows.
Even the eyebrows.
We have to primp and prepare ourselves. We have more hair products, and we have to do all kinds of things, even if we have a white beard.
Yes, it's hard being Santa, but for Rick, it was a lot harder becoming Santa.
In 2011,
Both of Santa Rick's parents died within 18 days of each other. Rick, who is Jewish, in a display of grief, as is a tradition, did not shave for 30 days and grew a beard, a very bushy white beard.
And I was at Home Depot. This little boy he was probably 6 or 7, called me Santa. And I had my epiphany that I just needed to be a Claus member all year long. And this little boy, he changed my life.
Since that day, Rick has never stopped being Santa, even while battling cancer, not once, but twice.
And I think it certainly helps me to be very empathetic.
His own mortal experiences have made the meaning of the man behind the suit something pretty extraordinary.
Imagination and hope are, in my opinion, the cornerstone of humanity and what the Claus family and Christmas bring out in this world.
Imagination and hope, gifts too big to fit down a chimney or under a tree.
And speaking of Christmas, someone in Georgia just got an early Christmas gift this morning. One ticket sold in the Peach State matched 5 numbers, meaning that person won $1 million. So check your ticket right now because it could be you. The winning numbers are 3, 18, 36, 41, 54, and the Powerball was 7. Now, nobody's won the jackpot yet. The next drawing is tomorrow night on Christmas Eve. The jackpot has now climbed to $1.7 billion with a B, believe it or not. All right, and with that, we are going to wrap things up here for the news on WTOC Plus. We appreciate you spending part of your afternoon with us. We'll be back in just about 40 minutes, I should say, for another round of stories during Welcome to Our Community with Tyler Mannion filling in today. And in the meantime, you can always head on over to our website to catch the latest. We have a lot more details as well with the web story we just put out regarding that St. Helena Island shooting. A lot of details specifically about the lawsuit if you would like to dive into that. And with that, we are going to wrap things up. Thanks for watching, and here's Local News Live.